Yo, what up homies? Yandere Gogeta here, and today I wanted to talk about the most recent entry in the Persona family, and that's of course Persona 5 Tactica. I'll be completely honest and go ahead and say that I didn't know if I would like this game at all, but it actually ended up being a massive treat that had me in tears by the end. I don't want to waste too much of your time, so let's go ahead and get right into the most important part of the game, the story. As soon as you jump into the game, you get a good idea of what to expect from the story and how it's told. Many of the story beats are told in a visual novel style where the character portraits are on screen and change depending on the mood, situation, or whatever the case may be. It's pretty similar to the other Persona spin-offs like Persona 4 Dancing and the Arena games in this regard. The best part about this game is that you are immediately put right into the story. There's no massive build-up, no 10-hour tutorial, none of that. There's only like a couple tutorial fights just to explain how the new tactic style mechanics work in a Persona theme, but that's really it. I'll get more to the gameplay later, but this was such a breath of fresh air being catapulted right into the narrative, and the first hour of the game is really captivating and well written. Without going into spoiler territory, the game takes place after the final Persona 5 vanilla dungeon and before the third semester content of Royal. As a result, the Phantom Thieves themselves are not necessarily the primary focus of the narrative, although they do have really great moments despite that. The two main characters of this game are the newly introduced Arena and Toshiro, and I must confess that they are some very great characters and I love their dynamic. Arena is the more gutsy and straightforward heroine, while Toshiro is a, well, more or less coward with a non-existent will to fight. And even though I said the Phantom Thieves are not the focus, these new characters blend extremely well with the main cast and it brings out a great dynamic out of everyone. There's a lot of interesting back and forth conversations that show each character's views and ideals on certain events or discussions. The antagonists of this game are all really good as well. They tie into the overall narrative perfectly, and by the end you've got a game that tells an amazing story that actually means something in the big picture. I think the story of this game is something that can and will hit a lot of people hard, just as it did for me, because it does all the things Persona is so well known for story-wise superbly. The whole strength of heart thing is in full force as you would expect. One more great thing I'd like to say about the narrative before I talk about the couple negatives is the fact that this game introduces a lot of interesting ideas surrounding the nature of personas and shadows. This would be a pretty big spoiler, but think of that as something to look forward to if you do decide to check this game out. So, about the negatives. I think the pacing can be a little off at times. The first couple of dungeons feel fine, but as you get into the later half of the game's dungeons, especially the last one, it feels like the pacing gets kind of wonky. It isn't terrible or anything, but it's definitely noticeable and it feels like more time went into the early game. That being said, the final boss both gameplay and story-wise is really good. It has a fantastic conclusion and it's one I'll be reminiscing on for years to come. So those are the main points I wanted to make about the story, but this is a tactics game, so the gameplay is unlike anything Persona has ever explored before. So the question here is, did they execute on it well? As someone who has never played a tactics game before, I can say that I enjoyed it a lot actually. I have nothing to compare it to, but what I can say is that it feels like a perfect entry-level game of the genre. It isn't too hard, but the level and enemy design is always evolving throughout the game, which always makes it feel super fresh when you make progress. The absolute best part about this game's combat, in my opinion, is that you can equip personas to all of the Phantom Thieves, and whatever skills the personas you acquired have will be applied to them. So for example, you can give on a persona with ice skills if you wanted to. This is such a great feature of the game because you can essentially make whatever party you want and it can be a valid combination. Some characters are naturally stronger than others with their innate abilities and skills, but you can make anything work. Guns are back as well, and just like the other Persona 5 entries, each character has different weapons that are good for various things. Yusuke's assault rifle can reach further than everyone else, but Ryuji's shotgun, for example, has a bigger spread that can hit multiple targets and it does more damage. You can also fuse weapons in the Velvet Room, which add various buffs like a chance to inflict despair, more damage, and more range, and etc. As I said before, the level design and enemies are always changing and evolving throughout the game, so one stage might be better or worse for certain party members. Finding the best strategy to defeat the enemies as quickly as possible is really fun actually, and the in-game awards incentivize you to do so. Each stage in the game has 3 possible awards you can earn, and some of them are a little bit tricky actually. Alongside these awards are quests that give you specific stipulations to fulfill. There are several that require you to defeat all the enemies on the map in one turn, and many other requirements. These requests are very fun and actually really entertaining as well from the character interactions alone. My goat Yusuke always brings some great energy and his quests are a good ass time. Completing these requests give you extra points to level up the involved character's skill tree, which I can't believe I haven't actually gone in more detail about that, so let's go ahead and do that. But before that, you should like and subscribe. A lot of y'all ain't subbed and I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers in 2024, so it would help me a lot. So about the skill tree, Each character has a fairly similar skill tree path, but they're different enough to make them feel unique. Each character can level up their respective elemental skills, so Zio to Zionga and whatnot. There are also support skills that can raise HP, SP, and attack, which is a very strong ability. I found myself preferring using certain characters a lot simply for their support abilities, and it gives you as the player so much flexibility on how to build your team depending on what you want to do. Then there are the passive abilities, which can do things like give more range to your skills or just outright give you more space to move around in general. There are so many more mechanics I could talk about, but I'll just go briefly over a few more just for the sake of time. Ailments are present in this game, and when you inflict an ailment onto an enemy, you can use another character to attack them and get a 1 more attack, which allows you to do another turn. This also allows you to perform an all-out attack. To do this, you basically make a triangle with your party around a group of enemies, and it will do some big damage to all of them. The gameplay overall is so amazing, and it's hard to share just how good it really is unless you try it for yourself, which basically leads me into my final conclusion for the review at this point. Persona 5 Tactica in my eyes is a very special game, and I think it's truly worth playing. Like I said, I was shocked by how good it was, and it made me cry at the end, which is a good sign that it did something right if you ask me. There's a decent chance that this will be the last Persona 5 game we'll see maybe ever, besides the Chinese gacha game, but we ain't going to talk about that. So it's a little bit bittersweet in a way. Overall though, if I had to give this game a number grade, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. It could have easily been a 10 out of 10, but the pacing issues hold it back a little bit for me. The game is still fantastic though, and I greatly enjoyed my time with it. So now that all of that is on the table, I just want to ask again that you like and subscribe. It would help the channel out a lot, and I'll love you forever. Also, feel free to drop some feedback on what you want to see in the next videos. I've been trying to make more Persona videos since you guys really like that, and it would help me a lot to get some feedback. But other than that, it's been your boy Yandere Gogeta, and I hope you enjoyed our time together today. Peace out and have a good one.